So I thought it was interesting. I think the direction the legislature is heading on that right now hopefully is better than what we had a few years ago where they tried to force us all to unify. Thank you for allowing me to filibuster.
So I didn't attend the annual conference portion, but I was there for the legislative workshop. I go because as a board member I want to find out whatever information they can give me to better inform me about making decisions and staying current. And my first observation when I got there was it was probably half attended. Like the attendance rate was significantly reduced from the previous year. Maybe half was my impression. And in the specific, like in the legislative workshop portion, not really useful to me at all. And I've definitely shared all my opinions with leaders at ASBA, and I don't think we should just have this at the end of the year. Like we should have policy updates throughout the year, not just the language that we get from Janice, but more policy stuff, because I guess that's something I'm interested in. And I basically was told that ASBA is a membership organization, and most members they're getting what they want. And so, if we want to change that, we really need to be very vocal and strategic to get that. And we can't just do the evaluation and call them. We need to organize other boards and press for those changes. There is a change in leadership. I don't know what that means for the organization, good, bad, or otherwise. So I want us to keep that in mind as we continue to spend money. I think that they do a lot of good things for us, but I think we've all kind of attested to a decline in quality and not necessarily good return on investment. So let's keep that in mind as we continue.
Before we go to the next, can I make a suggestion? I don't know if I have to fill out a yellow card, but we're on ASBA and all that. Could we kind of have like an agenda item of ASBA or NSBA, the board meeting after it's attended rather than late?
We usually do.
We usually do.
We do with NSBA, but the ASBA we haven't.
No, that's actually the first time I've been done.
Oh, I was just wondering if ASBA is always in the last part of December, and then you got the holidays, and then you come back and all that, and you kind of lose stuff in your mind. It's not as fresh. And so I'm just wondering if we could do that like next year, schedule it as an agenda item right after the convention or the workshops.
Or the event.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great idea, and I'll definitely make sure while I'm in this role to schedule those. Good. Next item is the legislative and political update. And as our legislative liaison, Mr. Jewett, will you please lead us off?
Sure. Trying to remember where they are. There are two bills that moved very quickly to create new student tuition organization tax credits that would allow an additional $500, I think it is, per individual, or $1,000 per couple to go to student tuition organizations. And I think this time the difference is that it would be allowed to serve, I can't recall, preschool perhaps. With that, again, promoting the work that my colleagues do during my day job, Children's Action Alliance, we have a report called Skin in the Game. What has happened, we've heard that phrase a few times. Sometimes here at the district level, certainly higher than that. With all these dollar-for-dollar tax credits, you can now, and I have not actually looked through this yet, and you might be getting the very first copies. I'm not sure if it's officially been released, but it came from the printers in my office today, and so I decided to go over it again. Because of all the dollar-for-dollar tax credits, you can make $134,000 a year in the state and pay no income taxes if you give the right money to the right places and take the dollar-for-dollar tax credits. So when we hear about this talk about people not paying income taxes, we need to remember that those are not just people who are unemployed and collecting unemployment or don't have an income. Those in this state are people who are choosing to give money elsewhere other than into our state's general fund. And we do know, well, I'm not going to go further on a soapbox about that. But so there is a bill sponsored by Representative Steve Yarborough, whose job outside of the legislature is to raise funds for a student tuition organization. Runs bills every single year and is quite successful at expanding those. Other bills of interest, 1061 is a bill that would no longer require elementary schools in Arizona to participate in the federal school lunch program. That is being driven, I believe, by, but yes, Senator Crandall is offering it. It is being driven by a few food service directors, I understand, who probably have concerns about the Healthy and Hunger-Free Kids Act on a federal level that requires more nutritious food and the cost. Unfortunately, I think they're concerned that the 6 cents extra per meal we get may not be enough to make our meals as healthy as we're supposed to be, and that may be harmful for districts. On the other hand, we know that there are students whose only meal may be the lunch that they get at school. So that is a great concern to a number of people. Hunger groups are certainly opposing that. AEA is opposing 1061. ASBA is supporting it due to local control issues. The governor's budget does include funding for elementary schools by increasing the Group A weight to, and I just suddenly lost the email that I had, to give us more money to help meet the requirements of Move On When Reading. Interestingly, we have legislators who tell us that they don't want us being mandated to participate in the school lunch program, but then there was at least one legislator who, generally the same political persuasion, who asked, well, how do we know if we give them extra A-weight funding, which is targeted toward elementary schools, how do we know they're actually going to use that for the K through 3 reading and not for something else? So clearly, it's an issue of local control with limits. The governor's budget also has extra money in it that's supposed to help us with soft capital, but it's the same money that is paying off the rollover where they give us technically they pay us money for this year, next year. And I know I talked to Mr. Walmer about that, and I think we're both confused. There may be an answer, whether it's accounting gimmicks or whether it's just something I don't understand. I think we're going to have to wait and see how that's explained and how it plays out, but I think that the governor's budget is actually so far playing well in the legislature, and it looks like that's the starting point. So, and I do have to mention that a bill that I have been working in support of to allow schools to make it clear that schools would not face any extra liability if they open up their school grounds to in after hours, outside of instructional hours for the community to use. It passed the Senate Education Committee 7-0 this week. So if we wanted to, for example, open up a school on a weekend or during a break, we would have the same liability as a city park, rather than right now where it's kind of vague. And that was supported by Children's Action Alliance and the American Heart Association to try to encourage schools to get their communities physically active.
Thank you, Matt. I have a few other bills to share that may impact our district if they move forward. Matt already alluded to unification consolidation. The main thrust of that bill, House Bill 2075, would empower the county superintendent to conduct a feasibility study and share those plans with governing boards to take action. And I'd love to hear from Representative Goodale when she comes, when you want to know things. There's, of course, another bill that would exclude, House Bill 2489 would exclude state aid to school districts and charter schools for children whose parents are unable to prove legal status. Not sure how far that one will go. That's supported by Representative Carl Seal.
Which district is it?
6, I think.
Yes,
That's the people who live in his district now.
yes.
Yeah, it's not to prevent them from going to school, they just don't want to pay for it.
Uh,
A couple bills represented by Eric Meyer. One would authorize the school board to issue teaching contracts for up to 3 years. So instead of just offering an annual contract, if his bill moves forward, we might be able to offer 3-year contracts.
Who's it from?
Eric Meyer.
It's not required, it's just giving them the option.
Yeah, to empower school boards to have more options. House Bill, well, now that we're doing well, but House Bill 25,000 or 2,500 would be intervention for poorly performing schools. So schools that have a D or an F ranking for 2 or more consecutive years would be required to implement a science, technology, engineering, and math intervention strategy. That's being pushed by Representative Yee. And the last one that I wanted to share is Senate Bill 1033 on ELL instruction, and this would, I guess, require the schools to do an annual evaluation. If the student who is in the 4-hour ELD block is moved to an intermediate or proficient standard, then the school may proceed by continuing with a 2-hour block or a shorter amount of time. So we'll see how that goes and where that goes. It's sponsored by Senator Bartow.
That passed education 7-0
Yeah.
this week.
Yep.
Senate Act.
So I'll keep track of those because I think that they may have an impact on us, and if more pop up, I'll make sure to share those as well. Any questions for Matt or me on legislative political update? Anything we missed?
I know that was long, but it's that time of year.
Yeah, they're in session.
Is there anything you think the board should be addressing as a whole, or commenting on as a whole to the legislature at this time?
In my opinion, no. I think it's early enough to, some of these might not get any traction, and I don't think there's anything, maybe the legal status issue, if we want to get involved in that, but if we do, then someone should put that for a future agenda item so we can discuss that. Other than that, I don't.
On the legal status, is it the child or the parents of both?
It just says the children, the parent cannot provide legal documentation.
Okay.
When we had that bill last year, I don't recall what happened, how far it made it.
Yeah.
Didn't become law.
Right.
We have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if it starts moving, I might send something to share. Okay. All right, future agenda items.